Hey everyone, I got another great and unique question. This one has to do with the recent increase in age that you can join the Coast Guard. So, the Coast Guard recently raised the max age to 42, and a lot of that does have to do with retention issues, does have to do with recruitment issues. And I had a comment from a fellow who is 41 and is going through the process of joining the Coast Guard, and they asked if there was anything that they should be concerned about or just any challenges that they might face at that age. I can speak for some experience. I did know a fellow several years ago who joined at 37, and at the time he had to get a waiver for that to join at that age. And he had been an owner of a bar for several years, so he had a lot of real world experience. And he described boot camp as very frustrating. There's a lot of 18, 19, 20-year-olds, people who are barely adults, and if you have a strong breadth of experience in the real world, I could see it getting frustrating because you're only as strong as your weakest recruit. You oftentimes might find yourself being held back on maturity issues that you aren't going to have a problem with. Boot camp is in a lot of ways designed to make up for the lack of real world experience that you're going to typically have when you join. I was 19 when I went through basic training, so I didn't have any real world adult experience. So I needed that crash course to just be immersed in that world. I think at 40, you don't need that as much. And so when we talk about the challenges, I think there are challenges, but there's also ways that it's going to be easier for you. And I think that those offset each other. It's possible that physically it might be tougher. Of course, this also depends on your own physical fitness. So if you have been taking reasonably good care of yourself for your adult years, I don't foresee it being physically too much. Certainly you will have to go through a medical screening anyway. So for an able-bodied, healthy person, I don't think 40 is going to have any problems. In terms of keeping up with the day-to-day physical rigors of being in boot camp, I always found it was more about endurance and not necessarily about quantity of push-ups. So if you're out there on the quarterdeck doing push-ups, consistently moving, not getting down on your knees, like going through whatever the orders are, is what's going to keep the company commanders off of your back. They're not going to be bothering you. They're not going to be yelling at you if you're moving and you're not stopping. I think where it's really going to be frustrating and challenging might be with dealing with the mental aspects of it. Not for you personally. I think for you personally, you're actually going to have an easier time with a lot of the mental tests they put you through because of that life experience you already have. Where it's going to get challenging is being held back by younger members who don't have that experience, don't have that maturity level, maybe get in trouble for stupid things, and the whole company has to pay for it. That can be very frustrating for anybody, and especially if you've been around for a while. It can also be weird to be 40 and have somebody 25, 28, 30 yelling at you and telling you how you don't know what you're doing and all these things about you. Now, where I think it offsets is that, speaking for myself, if I had to go back and face basic training with the knowledge and life experience I've had now, I think it would really be tantamount to a game to me, and it would really probably be more funny than anything, having people like that yelling at me and telling me these things about me that they don't actually know, because I've had a lot of life experience since then that I can really compartmentalize that sort of treatment and just know that that's just part of the game. So I think I think that for a stable, able-bodied, mentally sound person with, professional and real-world life experience, I don't think it's going to be really that tough. It's going to be probably just, if anything, frustrating for the reasons I mentioned. I can't speak for every company commander, but they are typically going to not necessarily ease up on you, but at the same time, they don't need to test you quite the same way that they would with an 18-year-old kid. I know when I went through, I had a couple guys who were 29, 30, and at the time, that seemed really old to me. Now that seems really young to me, but at the time, they were the oldest two guys in our company, and I don't recall them struggling very much with the minutia of just day-to-day basic life. I did see some frustration. They usually were given more responsibility. They were squad leaders. They were held accountable more. And I think that in general, that's probably pretty indicative of what the experience is like for somebody at that age or even older. I'm in that range now where, I might need a waiver if I were trying to join, but I could see that being my reality as well, that I would just be like, come on guys, let's get our stuff together. It's not that complicated. And that's where your real world leadership experience might become important. Don't fret too much. Don't stress out. Don't join in the chorus of complaining that the younger folks will be doing. Be a leader. Be of sound mind. Be the voice of reason for the younger folks. And I think that, everybody wants to be there. There's no draft. So everybody wants to be there. And generally, with the exception of a few knuckleheads, they want to do the right thing. So they're probably going to look up to you and will lean on that knowledge experience. If they're smart, they'll recognize that being on your side will be very good for them. So I definitely have nothing but respect for anybody that decides to join the military at that age. I think that's awesome. I think that you're going to bring so much extra experience and background that is going to be just invaluable to your success in the Coast Guard. So definitely congratulations on making that choice, and come back after you finish and let me know how it went, and good luck.